B1 family, welcome back to Blacklogic. This evening, we're going to talk about the selection for Donald Trump for VPOTUS, or as people know, Vice President of the United States of America. We're going to talk about not only J.D. Vance, but as well as his wife, because his wife, and excuse me if I don't know how to properly pronounce her name, is it Yusha or Isha? USHA. I don't know how to pronunciation, family, but nonetheless, let's just say Yusha Vance. And we've seen a lot of hypocrisy that's been showcasing loud and clear, okay? Loud and clear between the discrimination and racism that J.D. Vance and his family is receiving from the very MAGA crowd that was looking to select them, except for Nick Fuentes. All right, so vice president, and some people may know it as the president of the Senate. That's an old term, but it states here, and this is coming from Senate.gov, the Constitution names the vice president of the United States as the president of the Senate, in addition to serving as presiding officer. The vice president has the sole power to break a tie vote in the Senate. Let's move on. Today, vice presidents serve as a principal advisor to the president, so their right-hand man or their right-hand woman. But from 1789 until the 1950s, their primary duties was to preside over the Senate. Since the 1830s, vice presidents' influence involved as vice president and senators experimented with and at times rigorously debated the role to be played by this constitutional officer. So basically, we understand that the vice president job, family, is in case the president gets assassinated, and then they step up and really, take charge. Other than that, they have some meet and greets. It's probably one of the sweetest jobs in America. You're the second most powerful person in the world, behind, the president of the United States of America. But then you don't have that many duties, but you'll stay busy, right? A bunch of handshakes, like Kamala Harris. She go to cookouts, she put on your Chuck Taylors, and she go to fish fries and things of that nature. Okay. But before we get too serious in the conversation, I wanted to point something out on Donald. Now, Donald Trump, we already know, again, we already survived 4 years of Donald Trump. Okay. There's nothing on the table for foundational Black Americans. So at this point, it's just pure entertainment, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this. This is on his Truth Social. And he posted this pic. This is from Donald Trump himself, 7.31 million followers. Okay, this is at the real Donald Trump on Truth Social. And Trump versus Bullet, Biden versus Stairs. Listen, what is up with this guy? This is one of the most dangerous, funniest, stupidest presidents in American history. You know what? In history of the entire world. What is wrong with Donald Trump? He said, I got shot by a bullet. I'm raising the fist. I'm still long and strong. You can't even go up a pair of stairs. You're so old. You're so cripply. You're out of your wits. You have dementia. All these accusations and things that Trump is implying here, right? This is the way I'm interpreting it, right? He's like, this guy can't walk up the steps. I got shot at, survived, and I'm still raising the fist. I'm still going to be the president of the United States of America. Only in America can you go, running for president with these theatrics and people are on board. No one's saying, this is so unprofessional. Have you noticed from the Republican side of the house, where there's trillions of entrepreneurs and business savvy people, no one has ever said that Donald Trump was unprofessional. He's in a debate. He's given off policy. I might have to pop that up. Okay. Donald Trump was giving off policies via video on his website with the Agenda 47 piece. And did you know in one of those videos, Donald Trump was was stating how Joe Biden was crooked Joe and you should vote for honest Donald. Something weird like that. It was family. This is hilarious. Okay. And at this point, if they're not going to give Foundation of Black Americans what is owed by the way of reparations, I mean, there's no need for us to get mad or angry. We have to stand 10 toes down and keep pushing. But at the same time, I'm gonna get a laugh in because this is this is ridiculous, family. Let me see if I can get the Agenda 47 up here. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get this up here. I want to show you this one video clip I showed on Wednesday. Okay. I'm trying to look here. Let's see. Okay, they itemized it now. I don't know if they took the videos off. Okay. I don't know if they took the videos off. I'm trying to scan through here very quickly. Also on Truth Social, let's just move right into it, family. If you guys want to catch that segment of what Donald Trump basically called Joe Biden, he said crooked Joe and started to laugh. He's giving out information on policy via video on his website. Then he defamed the sitting president, which is fine, freedom of speech, all that good stuff. But we're talking about when people tell you you're unprofessional, when you've told people they're unprofessional. Where are the people stating that Donald Trump is unprofessional? Even though he's telling the truth, but that's not the point. No one ever says that, right? This is the highest office in the land, but no one has ever come out publicly, someone of significance, and stated Donald Trump is very unprofessional. No one has said that. He said what he wanted to say. He's done what he wanted to do. Like, good old America. Let's jump on it, family. Now, this is what Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social, okay? This is about his selection for VP. It says, after lengthy deliberation and thought, and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance of the great state of Ohio. J.D. honorably served our country in the Marine Corps, graduated from Ohio State University in 2 years. So basically saying he's very intelligent, he's very smart. He also graduated summa cum laude and is a Yale Law School grad, where he was editor of the Yale Law Journal, which is a very prestigious position because you're at the law school and you're filling these high roles as the editor, right? Meaning that he probably can write his ass off. That's basically all I'm getting out of that. And it states that president of the Yale Law Veterans Association, because he did serve in the military, and he wrote a book, Hillbilly Elegy. It became a major bestseller and movie, and is championing as a hardworking career in technology and finance. And now during the campaign will be strongly focused on the people he fought so brilliantly for, the American workers and farmers in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and far beyond. That is the words of Donald Trump. Okay. And if you guys are not familiar with J.D. Vance, I believe he's around 40 years of age. He's very young. He's very young. He's around. I mean, he may look old, he don't have good melon. But anyway, I won't go there. But nonetheless, family, I think he's between the age of 39 and 40, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And there's much to be said about J.D. Vance. There is, but nothing very interesting. I see that he's 39. Okay, he's 39. But nothing other than his choice of who he married. That is what the white supremacists are coming out and talking about right now. But there's some things I just want to kind of cover when it comes to J.D. Vance and his wife, because family, this is utterly ridiculous. But before I go there, I think we should probably break down J.D. Vance. What you guys think? I was trying to see if I can pop up. Let's see here. I can't pop this up the way I want. But let's just talk about J.D. Vance. Now, he was born in Middletown, Ohio, as you guys can see there. I don't know if you see that down here. He was born in 1984. He was actually raised in a family supposedly struggling with addiction and economic instability, because Vance's early life was a testament to struggles, people may say. Oh, he went through adversity and he was part of a hard-working middle class or lower class family. And then it gets better because he served in the United States Marine Corps. So that's going to tell the voters that he is structured and disciplined, and he served our nation, one of the highest honors that you can do, especially if you're on that other side, right? I served, and I was proud to serve. Okay, so I understand that. I served in the Marine Corps as well. He attended Ohio State University and Yale Law School, and a likely path for someone with his background. He wrote the book Hillbilly Elegy. I told you guys that back in 2016. And in that book was a vivid picture of his upbringing, and has been credited with shedding light on the white working class experience in America. So he has one of those good old boy stories. Came from nothing. His family battled with addiction, and they was impoverished, they economic instability. He come from Ohio industrial town. Good old boy, right? Either you're a farmer, either you're from a farm family or you're from an industrial town. The good old work your ass off, regular white boy story. Okay. And nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything wrong with that. I think Donald Trump picked him strategically. Okay. Not do I agree or disagree. Okay. But when it comes to JD Vance policies, which is the most important thing, Vance has positioned himself as a populist conservative, advocating for economic policies that's aimed at revitalizing the American heartland, right? He's very vocal about bringing jobs back to America, and he has criticized offshoring and global trade deals that he argues have decimated the American manufacturing industry. But he does support tariffs on China, okay, because he believes that is going to protect American industries. When it comes to immigration, I know this is a big one for Donald Trump. Vance takes a hardline stance supporting stricter border controls and opposing policies that he believes encourage illegal immigration. Basically, he's going to align with Donald Trump, because he's basically aligned with Donald Trump's immigration policies, advocating for a wall, between Mexico and Texas and the border states, and opposing and eradicating sanctuary cities. No disagreements. When it comes to social issues, he's a little more traditional. He opposes abortion, supports gun rights, has been critical. Oh, he's a conservative. He's a Republican. Got it. Now, what some of you guys may not be familiar with, or you may not have the information, is that he disagrees with Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not pick someone. Now, let me backtrack, family. Do I believe he's going to fall in line? Yes, I do. The same way Mike Pence did. But initially, Donald Trump didn't pick someone who agreed with him wholeheartedly, like Michael Pence publicly. No, because JD Vance, despite his overall alignment with Trump on many issues, Vance had some very public disagreements with President Trump. He was very vocal. He was a very vocal critic of Trump, calling him reprehensible and warning against his influence on the on the GOP. And then when Trump's influence grew, of course, your boy JD softened his stance on Trump. And the two have since found common ground on many policy issues. Vance has, on occasion, expressed concern over Trump's rhetoric and approach to governance, advocating for a more disciplined and policy-focused approach. Now, when we talk about foundational Black Americans and his stance on reparations and even implementing an anti-hate crime legislation, because that's the heart of the matter, right? That's the heart. Is he going to influence Donald Trump to possibly giving foundational Black Americans reparations? And we have to understand about Vance, he has not he has not been a vocal supporter of reparations for us. His policy focus has primarily been on the economic revitalization for the working class broadly throughout America, rather than addressing specific historical injustices faced by our people. Now, while we're discussing economic policy, Vance often highlights plight of the white working class. So Nick Fuentes came out and he was talking about he's not for white identity. And even though Nick Fuentes is a Hispanic person, he's not, his color or shade may be very light skinned, but himself is a Hispanic nonetheless. I digress. But that's what Vance focused on, is the white working class, with little mention of the very unique challenges that our community faces, that the Black community faces. And on the issue of hate crime, family, his record is very, similarly sparse, because he condemns acts of violence and expressed support for law enforcement, the same as Donald Trump. But it's not like he has championed specific legislation aimed at protecting the Black community for hate crimes of the white supremacist system, okay? In these groups and these Venda Angeles. Now, the contrast lies with this, family, because with the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act that was signed into law in 2021 to address the rise of violence for Asian Americans, which had bipartisan support, but highlighted the need of similar focused legislations for Black Americans. We can't get similar legislation. We could have got something similar during George Floyd, during Emmett Till, Breonna Taylor, okay, Philando Castillo. We've had multitude of high visible, high public cases that should have put into motion an anti-hate crime bill for Black Americans, but that didn't happen. But these guys triple and double down on the police, right? Because, for instance, Vance, he has not been a proponent of police reform measures because he don't think anything's wrong. He's not a proponent of police reform that's going to essentially address racial disparities in law enforcement. So that's basically JD Vance in a nutshell. It's not going to do anything significant. Okay. Let me see if I can cue this up, family.
If I ran for president on banning April Fool's Day, I feel like I would win 100% of the vote. You talk about getting right to the point.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
That's the start of a new TV ad by JD Vance, who's best known as the author of the best-selling book, Hillbilly Elegy, and is now a Republican candidate for U.S. Senate in Ohio. Vance is one of a handful of Republicans running to replace retiring Republican Senator Rob Portman in a primary that has largely been defined by how Trumpy you can look. Mandel, the former state treasurer, who burned a mask in a Twitter post and has insisted that
I believe this.
All right. So, family, I just wanted you familiar with that quick quote. Are you a racist? Are you racist against Mexicans? Now, if you guys are not familiar with his wife is Indian American, okay? Indian American. And I want you guys to look at this very quickly.
A former critic of Trump, Vance took on Trump chose Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential running mate. A former critic of Trump, Vance took on a pro-MAGA agenda after taking office. Here's what you need to know about Vance's policies. The 39-year-old junior senator has called for an abortion ban, even in cases of sexual assault and incest. But Vance has admitted that he believes exceptions can be made when a mother's life is in danger, and agreed with the Supreme Court's ruling to protect access to an abortion pill. Like Trump, Vance has said he doesn't support a national abortion ban, leaving it up to the states to legislate reproductive rights. Vance voted against a bill protecting access to in vitro fertilization. Vance is an outspoken opponent of President Joe Biden's border policies and rejects granting amnesty to illegal immigrants. He supports completing construction on the southern border wall. Vance opposes same-sex marriage and said he will reject legislation protecting it. He introduced legislation in 2023 restricting access to gender-affirming care, including surgery for minors. Vance is a committed supporter of Israel and opposed President Biden's delayed shipment of weapons to the country amid concerns over its operations in Gaza and the mounting civilian death toll. He opposes sending more money to Ukraine and voted against a $60 million aid package as it defends itself from the Russian invasion.
Okay. So hold on. Okay, so that's JD Vance. He's basically a conservative. He's a Republican. Everything abortion, everything he's pretty much aligning with Trump, even though he came out publicly against Trump. But the real story here, family, the real story here is some things I want to point out. Let me see if I can pop this back up. JD Vance said in 2016, the Republican Party 3-decade strategy was antagonizing black voters. He said that has been their strategy. He's talking about his own party. Okay. Now it says down here, including some saying, let me highlight this, that Republican electoral strategy had been to antagonize black voters and minorities for 3 decades. Vance was a critic of Donald Trump at the time, agreeing he was a total fraud. Wow. He didn't care about people and issues like the Great Mexican Wall. That's what we're talking about here. This is JD Vance. This is JD Vance, family. And bear with me. It's like my computer is acting really slow. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up in the chat, but it's acting really slow today. Okay. And then the chat just went away. Show. Vance was a critic of Donald Trump at the time, agreeing he was a total fraud. He didn't care about people and issues like the Great Mexican Wall to give voters something to latch onto instead of policies. Stop the share here. Yeah, I see that I'm blanking in and out. Let me stop this share really quickly. Let me see if we can get some bandwidth back. There you guys go. Okay. So basically they're stating here that, let me share this back really quickly, family. All right, here we go. Now it states here, he said that Donald Trump was a total fraud. But he also told New York City public radio host that many white working class voters who supported Trump did not attend church regularly, making them susceptible to the sense of community in a Trump rally. At the same time, Vance argued racism did play a role in support for Trump, but not the biggest. This is what JD Vance said. I don't know if the Republican Party, if the MAGA movement crowd, if the advisors in Donald Trump's circle all agreed to pick JD Vance just because he has called Donald Trump a fraud. Those are very huge accusations, right? But some people will state that Donald Trump, he's just picking the best person for the position, regardless of what he said. Have you noticed it kind of happened to the same thing happened when Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was calling Joe Biden every name in the book. As soon as she got picked for VP, she came out and praised Joe Biden. These politicians. These politicians. Let me see some of your. We got Bulls fan 25. We got Dirt Sapien in here. Okay, Crystal Watson. Bulls fan said that MAGA is not feeling Vance like that. No, Vance is not the problem. Vance is not the problem. Let me tell you. Let me show you what this is the problem. This is JD Vance's wife. Okay, if you guys are not familiar with JD Vance, he is Donald Trump's nominee for VP. Okay, his running mate. Okay. And this is JD Vance's wife. And for the sake of argument, okay, and pronunciation of her name, we can call her Yusha Vance, which is a brown Indian. She's an Indian American, right? She is the daughter of immigrants. She's 38 years of age, and JD Vance is 39 years of age, okay? And I'm going to tell you what the problem with this is. Why the MAGA crowd, Nick Fuentes, all the suspected white supremacists are coming out and they're speaking about white identity is simply because the shade of her skin. It's simply because the shade of her skin, family. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you, and I'm going to tell you why. This has to do with the shade of her skin, not her race, not her being Indian, not her being Asian. And I never really call Indians Asian, right? They live in that Asian region, but we have those typical Asians with fair color skin, and their eye configuration is different than someone of this nature. But nonetheless, that's just me. Okay. They say they're Asian, they're Asian. I'm not going against that. But my point here is it's her skin color. It's her skin tone. Case in point, if she looked like this, she wouldn't have any problems. If she looked like Nikki Haley, she wouldn't have any problems, family. She wouldn't have none. Why is that? Because Nikki Haley passed for a white woman for many years until she became, and now there's some people, of course, co-worker things, but publicly where people can come out and denounce her, they didn't know that until late. Her history started to come out until late. She's a very fair-skinned Indian American. And if Usha Vance, the wife of JD Vance, looked like Nikki Haley, okay, no one would ever say anything because they will still uphold the image and perception of white identity, as Nick Fuentes said, not me. And what you guys need to understand about some of the culture in India, they have a skin bleaching culture in India where majority of and it happens majority with the women, not the men, majority with the women. It's kind of like this phenomenon. You know how Dr. Umar Johnson always talks about brothers wanting the snow bunnies? You know how people speak about Nigerians and Kenyans, basically Africans that come over from the continent. Soon as they get to America, as soon as they get to the UK, they jump on a white woman, or a white woman jumps on them, however you want to look at it. So Indian women will say, bump that. We're not losing our men to white women. You like lighter skin? You like lighter skin? We're just going to make our skin lighter. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our skin lighter. This is a large problem in India where people are using creams, scans, lasers, all sorts of things to remove the melanin in their skin, okay? It's a huge problem in India. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem in Jamaica. It's a huge problem in Nigeria with skin bleaching. This is why the white supremacists are all coming out, because she don't look like Nikki Haley. We're going to get into it, family. Do you guys remember this video? This video was about a year ago when I was speaking to Shweta Agrawal. She is do you say British Indian? Let's see, Indian American. She's an Indian British. I think you say that. Nonetheless, and this whole video was talking about, well, not this whole video, but majority of this video was talking about skin bleaching. Because I actually used skin bleaching before, not to lighten up my skin though. You guys should listen in on this. Listen in on this.
So people are actually taking these like injectables, which are melanin suppressors. Yep. And basically they're melanin suppressors, and they obviously then they whiten your whole body as opposed to just whitening just your face, because the tubes are just about that small.
I'm sorry,
right?
Chiwetta. I'm sorry. Hold on. Okay, so you're stating, okay, let me be very transparent here. I have used whitening cream before. I've used bleaching cream.
Yeah, I have too.
Now, the reasons probably differ, but the reason why I use whitening cream is because when a lot of people who have high melanin, when we smash our nose, you see there's a line that forms here. Yeah, we kind of like a crease line, because if you're scratching your nose like this, there's a line that forms. So I've just used it right there to get rid of a dark line, right? But it's just funny that you should say that, because I've never could imagine that you could suppress melanin. I can understand that there's chemicals that you can, get melanin off your skin, but to suppress melanin, this must be very expensive as well.
So they're basically like called melanin suppressors. That's just a nicer word for these steroids and chemicals that you're injecting in your body. They're essentially like, bleaching you very, very rapidly. And it's terrible for your health, for your skin health, obviously, but also all sorts of other ailments.
Yeah, family. I wanted to familiarize that video. Mainly because Chiwetta herself was addicted to skin bleaching. She was addicted to skin bleaching, and she said sometimes she even struggles with it. Don't forget that the British colonized India for almost, was it 100 years, 99 years, something like that. But the British colonized India for 99 years, and they left that white supremacist ideology in India. That's why you'll come to America, you'll see a lot of light-skinned Indians. But if you go to India, family, majority of the Indians are my complexion or darker. Well, I would say maybe a shade or two lighter and darker throughout the entire country. Throughout the entire country, family. But yeah, they're attacking his wife, Vance, and it's simply because of her skin color. I stand 10 toes down on that. So they're not even worried about his policies. They're attacking his wife and his family. Nick Fuentes came out and stated something about, and one of his sons is named Raviki, because he didn't get an all-American white name like Nick or Nicholas. They've been stating racist remarks towards his wife. And listen, these are not just your random internet trolls. So let's get that straight. These are not just random internet trolls. They're coming from people who identify with the MAGA movement, right? The very base that propels Donald Trump. Why is that significant? Because it exposes the selective racism within the party. And don't get me wrong, there's the same amount of racism in the Democratic Party, in the Dixiecrat Party, if not more. Now, Trump, despite his numerous failings and his divisive rhetoric, never faced such personal attacks on his family or his base. Why? You know why? Because Donald Trump's family fits the acceptable mode. No one never came out against Donald Trump's wife like, she can barely speak English. She white, but she can barely speak English. No, because she's white. And she's from one of them European countries. But because she's white, they didn't say she's not American. Why would we pick a president who doesn't have an American president? They didn't say that. They didn't say she speaks with a strong accent. We want a president who has a wife with a strong accent. No, this is about color. So it's not about Donald Trump opposing views of J.D. Vance. No, it's not that J.D. Vance is only 39 years of age, but he has a seems to be a good track record, right? He passed the bar. He went to Yale Law School. He served in the Marine Corps. Okay. He came from nothing. He got that good old boy background. So, I mean, deductive reasonings tell me that if Yusha Vance had a lighter complexion, would she be more acceptable? Would she be given a white pass? History suggests yes. We've seen this pattern repeatedly where individuals of color who align with certain ideologies are superficially accepted only if they don't challenge the racist underpinnings of the support they're given. As long as she don't challenge the status quo and be Michelle Obama and come out here, we need to end racism for all people, black, brown, and other, you know how they speak. Because consider, as I stated before, how the Republican Party treats people like Nikki Haley or Bobby Jindal compared to Usha Vance. She's not even in office yet. And I don't mean office as though she's going to serve, but supporting her husband in office, okay? This is crazy. But why isn't this racism directed at Trump for his choice in J.D. Vance, knowing that J.D. Vance's wife is Indian? And she's not just Indian like a Nikki Haley, light-skinned, lighter complexion, white-looking Indian. No, she is brown. She's probably a shade darker than Kamala Harris. Some people will argue that the MAGA crowd, the Republicans, that their base is rooted in white supremacy. You see, I don't just think about the Republicans, the conservatives. I think about all of them, and they all are rooted in white supremacy, in my opinion. Because it's a cultural identity that's grounding in preserving white dominance. Wow. Now, Trump's appeal lies in his unfiltered support of this identity, because any deviation like J.D. Vance, marriage of Usha Vance may threaten the MAGA base, because this threatens their fragile supremacy and the reason why they support Donald Trump. Because the question is, what does this mean for Trump's chance of becoming the 47th president? It may complicate things, family. It may. I don't think it will, but it may. I think they'll fall in line, but it may. The MAGA crowd's racism could alienate potential allies and create rift between, within the party. Right? They go hard with this, family, because when I look at this, if Trump picks a VP that doesn't fit the mold of white supremacy, he essentially risks losing his core supporters. And on the flip side, embracing such a choice could potentially broaden his appeal, but that's a risky bet. And we have to be very clear that the racism towards Usha Vance isn't going to stop. It's not going to stop, because it's deeply ingrained in the fabric of Trump's base and America. Oh, it's not going to stop. They may just say, well, Trump is the best thing for America, so let's go ahead. We're going to speak bad about Usha Vance, but we're going to support Trump. They're going to, family, this is what they're going to do. They're going to be like, well, Trump is president. He's the one calling the shot. Trump is strong. He got shot. He stood right back up. He's very strong. He's not going to pass away in office. Trump is going to serve us for years. So we're going to get right behind Donald Trump. Now, we don't agree with his choice with JD Vance only because his wife is Indian, and she's not just any Indian American. She's a very brown Indian American. She's pretty. She's very pretty. I think she's pretty. But they don't care about that. They don't care about that family. Oh no, they can care less about that. They go right back to their same old white supremacist talking points. Okay. And this is all lower. Let me see if I can this right here. Computer's acting crazy. Let's see if I can get this up here. Give me 1 second, family. This acting weird again. All right, 1 second, family. 1 second. Yeah, family, I'm having some technical difficulties because this is a article from CNN. I know I'm having some issues. Let me just share this really quickly. Let me put this back up on screen. Let's do this. All right, it states here, there is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism, xenophobia, but a lot of these folks are just really hardworking people who are struggling in really important ways, Vance said. Wow. He also said in another interview that race is definitely a part of the Trump phenomenon and that Trump's exploitation of racial resentments. Okay. He's calling out Donald Trump's racism. And he stated here that Trump was making the problem of racial resentment worse by talking about rapist immigrants and banning all Muslims as a part of his message. Okay. And the last here states that definitely some people who voted for Trump were racist and they voted for him for racist reasons. In a separate 2016 radio interview, Vance said that some Trump supporters obviously don't have views about race that a lot of us would be comfortable with. Wow. Some very, very strong stance on race. So yeah, family, the VP pick for the Republican Party by the way of Donald Trump has nothing to do with the track record, the character, his scholastic achievements of JD Vance. Has nothing to do. People can care less who Donald Trump picked for the VP. He picked someone half his age. JD Vance is 39 years of age. So they see youth, they see someone intelligent, they see someone who served in the military. He's the senator for Ohio. So he has a good track record. That's basically what they're trying to say. But then you look at his wife. Then you look at his wife. And family, the white supremacists are mad. They don't want you guys, they don't want the first lady for the Republican Party to be anything with melanin. Right? She would fare better if she was an albino. She could be black, but albino with white skin. Oh yeah, that upholds white identity. Let me see if I can find that for you guys very quickly. Let me this is crazy. They getting everything they want. Now they crying about somebody's wife. Oh gosh. knowing a lot of them want to dip in the chocolate. Got to be more careful. Let me see here. Let me just pop this up for you very quickly. Let me see here. I'm trying to get the now, if you guys are not familiar, I keep doing the same thing. If you guys are not familiar with Nick Fuentes, okay, he's a well-known white supremacist. Fuentes often praises Adolf Hitler and has publicly fantasized about marrying a 16-year-old, okay? And don't forget, Nick Fuentes is Hispanic, but this is him right here, family. This is him. So all of these guys are smiling and cheesing. This is the MAGA crowd. Now, for who's believe themselves to be MAGA, I'm not stating that all people who label themselves, align themselves with the MAGA crowd, I'm not stating that these guys are racist. But JD Vance, the possible vice president of the United States of America, stated in 2016 that a lot of the people that's around Trump are racist. The MAGA, a lot of people who within MAGA are racist. The people who voted for Donald Trump, he said a good number of them are racist. Not that all are, okay? I don't believe all of nothing. I'll take that back. I do believe the system of white supremacy rules the world. We allowed it. We allowed it. Not us. Not us. Now, let me put this back on board here. Let's see. The white supremacist and anti-Semitic leader, Nick Fuentes, has been thrust into the state political spotlight after he was hosted by the president of influential group that has donated millions of dollars to top Texan Republicans, okay? Now, Fuentes, 25, very young, often praises Adolf Hitler and questions whether the Holocaust happened. He called for a holy war against Jews and compared the 6 million killed by the Nazis to cookies being baked in the oven. He wants the U.S. government under authoritarian and Catholic Taliban rule has been vocal about his disdain for women, Muslims, and the LGBT community. All I want is revenge against my enemies and a total Aryan victory. Okay, so that's enough said about Nick Fuentes. This is about white identity, because when Nick Fuentes came out and stated that he couldn't believe that, you know, he's basically stating that I couldn't believe that Donald Trump would pick somebody who doesn't have a white wife. That's basically what he's saying. So we may look for Nick Fuentes to come out against Donald Trump. He don't want this in the White House. This doesn't uphold white identity, he stated. But family, that's all I have for you this evening. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be one.